You know, before any battle is fought with swords and shields, there's another battle that happens first. It's the one that's fought in the heart. And the road to the Battle of Uhud, well, it wasn't just a march. It was a whole series of tests, a kind of divine sifting that was meant to purify an army and show what it was really made of.
And really, that's what this is all about. Everything that happened leading up to Uhud was like a crucible, designed to separate real conviction from just saying the right things, to see who was truly loyal and who was just giving lip service. Every single event had a purpose. So let's dive into the first and, honestly, the most shocking test. This was a crack in the foundation that didn't come from the enemy on the outside, but from right there, within their own ranks. Okay, so picture this. The Muslim army is on the march, heading toward a major battle at Uhud. And then, at the worst possible moment, a man named Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salool just stops. He turns around and starts walking back. And he doesn't go alone. He takes a huge chunk of the army with him.
And we're not talking about a small handful of guys who got cold feet, no. He convinced a full 1/3 of the entire army to desert. Just think about that. Can you imagine the blow to morale, seeing a third of your brothers just walk away right before a fight?
So, of course, he had an excuse, right? Publicly, his story was, hey, the Prophet didn't listen to my brilliant plan to stay and fight inside the city, so I'm out. But what was really going on? Oh, it was way more sinister. His actual goal was to cause chaos, to shatter morale, and to basically hand the enemy a psychological victory before the first arrow was even fired. And here's the key takeaway. While it looked like a total catastrophe, this betrayal actually served a purpose. It was a purification. It forced all the hypocrites out into the open and removed them from the equation. What was left was a smaller army, yeah, but one that was way more sincere and unified. Adversity did its job. So that begs the question, what do you do about this internal threat? You know there are people in your ranks who aren't sincere. You might expect some big public crackdown, but the way the Prophet handled it was with this quiet, incredible wisdom that actually protected the whole community. See, the Prophet was given the names of these hypocrites, but he didn't put them on blast. Instead, he told this incredibly sensitive information to just one man, a companion named Hudhaifa. Think about that. Hudhaifa became the sole keeper of this dangerous secret. What a heavy responsibility. And this is where things get really fascinating. Even a top companion like Umar ibn al-Khattab, a man known for his commitment to justice, he wasn't told who was on the list. So he came up with this really smart, really discreet way to navigate a key community ritual, the funeral prayer. The method was simple, but brilliant. Whenever Umar went to a funeral, his eyes were locked on one person, Hudhaifa. If Hudhaifa, the secret keeper, stepped forward to pray for the person who had died, Umar would pray too. But if Hudhaifa stayed back, Umar also stayed back. It was his way of knowing without knowing. No public accusations, no drama, just a quiet system of integrity. Now, a betrayal that big doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It creates ripples, aftershocks. And the one from Ibn Salool's desertion almost caused an even bigger break in the army's resolve. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. You just watched a third of your army turn around and go home. It's got to be incredibly demoralizing. And for two clans, the Banu Salama and Banu Haritha, it almost was. They were right on the edge of losing their nerve and following them back. But right at that critical moment of doubt, this divine message comes down. This verse is revealed, and it does something incredible. It acknowledges their weakness. It says, yeah, you are about to lose heart, but then it immediately reminds them, but Allah was your protector. It instantly reframed the situation, shifting their focus from their fear to His support. And what's amazing is how they looked back on this. Years later, a man from one of those clans, Jabir ibn Abdullah, said something profound. You'd think he'd be embarrassed that his tribe's moment of weakness was recorded forever. But he said he was glad the verse was revealed. Why? Because it came with the incredible honor of having God Himself say, but Allah was their wali. Their weakness became the backdrop for display of divine support. All right, so the sifting process wasn't just about removing the insincere. It was also about properly guiding the sincere, especially the young, passionate members of the community who were eager to prove themselves. So as the army gets ready, you have this group of really young boys, full of fire, ready to fight. But the Prophet, with this incredible wisdom and gentleness, turned some of them back. He taught them a crucial lesson, that being ready for a battle means more than just having the desire to fight. It requires a certain level of maturity and strength. And take a look at this list of kids who were sent home. These aren't just random names. Many of them would grow up to become absolute giants of Islamic history. So sending them back wasn't a rejection, it was a lesson in timing and patience.
And honestly, an act of mercy from a leader who cared about their lives.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Age wasn't some rigid black and white rule. The key principle was capability. It all came down to what you could do. And this was proven in a pretty amazing spontaneous contest.
So, there was one youth, a boy named Raphi, who got the green light to stay and fight. And the reason was simple. The kid was an amazing spear thrower, a real marksman. His proven skill meant he could be an asset on the battlefield no matter his age.
Well, another young man named Seerah, who had been told no, he sees this and he's not having it. He goes right to the prophet and makes his case. He basically says, wait a minute, I'm stronger than him. I can take Raphi down in a wrestling match. And the prophet's response was perfect. He said, all right, prove it.
So right then and there, in front of everyone, they wrestled. And Seerah backed up his words. He was stronger, and he won the match, proving his point. And after that, the prophet let Seerah join the army too. And this is such a powerful lesson. You have one kid accepted for his technical skill and another for his proven strength. It set a precedent. The true measure of readiness wasn't just your age. It was your actual merit, your ability, what you could bring to the table.
And all of this brings us to one final thought. The army that finally stood on the battlefield of Uhud was smaller than the one that left the city, no doubt about it. It had been whittled down by betrayal and careful selection, but was it weaker? No way. It had been purified, tested, and made stronger in its conviction. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe the greatest battles aren't won by sheer numbers, but by the quality of the few who have been forged in the fire of real trials.